Hi guys, just going to give a few moments to let everyone join the session. Okay, well, firstly, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the session today. My name is Gregory Mannix. I'm a sales director at nShift, and it's a real pleasure to welcome you to our first of 4 live interactive sessions, with this first one focusing on delivery. Now, if you work in or around warehouse operations, I probably don't need to tell you what most days look like. It's that familiar rhythm: click, print, repeat. Manually booking shipments, selecting carriers, putting out labels, sticking them on the boxes. It gets the job done until something breaks. And when it does, it's not just a small hiccup. It's delays, backlogs, miscommunication, missed SLAs, and in some cases, it's even lost revenue and unhappy customers. Now, the truth is that the way many businesses manage delivery today, it isn't really built for scale, complexity, or speed. It might work when you're shipping a few dozen parcels, but not when you're dealing with hundreds or even thousands of deliveries across multiple carriers, channels, or regions. So in this session today, we're going to explore how to move from that reactive manual model to something more controlled, efficient, and future-proofed. So we'll be looking at real friction points like ways to optimize your delivery operations, insights to reduce costs and improve efficiency, and best practices to consistently meet delivery promises. So along the way, I'll share some insights from what we're seeing across the industry. I'll highlight some quick wins that can have a big impact. And I'd really like you to get involved too. So feel free to ask any questions and drop any thoughts into the chat, and we'll answer them at the end of the session. So let's look at some of the detail and talk about how to take the chaos out of delivery and bring real control back into your operation. But before we do that, we have our first poll of the session. So hopefully you should now see on your screens the choices. And the question we've got is, what is your biggest challenge in delivery management today? So the options we've got are managing multiple carrier integrations, ensuring accurate and compliant label printing, lack of automation in delivery process, high costs and inefficiencies in shipping. And I'll give you a few moments just to register your choice. Now, I'll have to refer to my colleague here because I can't see on the screen, but if we have a clear winner, Elena, has that come through yet?
Yeah, a couple of responses have come through already. I'll be closing the poll soon.
Okay, here we go. So we can see it is quite equal with lack of automation in delivery processes coming out at the top. And to be fair, we do see that as a big issue when we're speaking with a lot of our prospects. It is something that comes up time and time again, as do the other three. So I think what's important is how we look at how we can resolve some of these issues that a lot of people are seeing across the board. So to give you some context and background as to why nShift are qualified to help in this space, I want to give you a bit of paint a picture as to who we are. So at nShift, we are the global leader in parcel delivery management. So we're powering over 1 billion shipments every year for more than 20,000 direct customers through our 1,000 plus carrier network. But what really sets us apart is our ability to help brands create exceptional customer experiences right from that point of sale. And we connect brands, customers, and carriers through that process. And we do this through an optimized checkout, streamlined delivery management, personalized tracking notifications, and simplified returns. And we know by getting all them in play, it creates a really seamless journey for customers, which really enhances that whole experience. Now let's talk about the engine behind it all, which is our data fabric. Now, our data connects every part of our platform, meaning you can activate new features or modules and immediately benefit from the existing data connections that are in place. We also make the data actionable through powerful business intelligence and advanced reporting tools. So you're not just collecting information, you're using it to make smarter, faster decisions, which we all know is vital in delivery management. So looking at the player field of where we are currently, you could say we are in a bit of a golden age of technology when it comes to delivery management. But this hasn't always been the case. And for context, I think it's important that we take a quick look back to see how we got to where we are today. So as a bit of a history lesson, until the late 1990s, booking a shipment was a manual task. Teams used pen and paper, filling out stacks of waybills by hand and attaching them to goods. Then they'd call a carrier for pickup. It was time consuming, it was inefficient, and it was of course prone to error. In the late 90s, a technology from the 70s called EDI, or electronic data interchange, started gaining traction, particularly in markets like the Nordics. Now, EDI replaced manual paperwork with structured digital files that were sent to the carrier. This shift was largely carrier driven, aimed at making their operations and especially their invoicing more efficient. Now, over time, shippers also saw that there were benefits. There were fewer errors, there were faster processes, and at some level, there was automation. But EDI has its limitations. It's asynchronous, meaning data is sent one way from shipper to carrier, and it's sent in batches. With no real-time feedback, it wasn't really fit for purpose. So it also requires strict file formats that vary by carrier. So whoever generates the EDI file, like nShift, has to constantly maintain complex validation rules to keep everything compliant. And the labels, they're still printed locally based on static templates. Now, the next big leap was the introduction of booking APIs. And unlike EDI, APIs support real-time two-way communication. So carriers expose methods for things like routing, address validation, pickup drop-off options, and time slots. And then that made bookings more dynamic and responsive. The shift was driven by the need for more flexible integrations. And with APIs, the carrier can adjust rules without forcing every shipper to overhaul their own validation logic. Now, that being said, APIs bring their own challenges. Every carrier builds their API differently, with their own logic and their own quirks. So shippers still have to navigate the complexities and align it with their internal systems. And that is where the power of solutions such as ours really come into play. Now, I spoke earlier about how nShift provides the connections between brands, customers and carriers. Now, traditionally, this was all very much centered around the book and print process that I discussed on the previous slides. After all, what it really comes down to it, we're connecting the label printer in the fulfillment warehouse of the brands with the customer, aka the consumer. That's what we're trying to do in this process. Ultimately, at the end of the day, there needs to be a shipping label on the items leaving the warehouse. If there's no label, there's no efficient delivery, and there's no happy customer. However, before a label can be printed, there's a few things that must happen first. So first, we need to know, who we're shipping to. We need to know which carrier, which service, and often which add-ons we want to use. We need to know some basic attributes about the shipment, such as the weight, dimensions, and if there are any special handling requirements. And many times we also need to communicate with the carrier to retrieve dynamic information for the label. Now, we might even have to retrieve the whole label directly from the carrier's API. At the very least, we need to inform the carrier about the existence of the label and the shipment, and we need to make sure the barcodes and other references on the label can be read and understood by the carrier. And this is the booking part of a book and print process. But what it does, it's to make consumers, through that process, what we're really looking for is how we can make consumers happy. So I think we need to have a look at the process first, and then circle back and figure out how these process and requirements fundamentally change the steps leading to making a shipping label. So before we do that, let's have another quick poll. Okay, so on this poll, the question we've got is, which feature would have the biggest impact on your delivery operations? Is it automatic carrier selection based on shipment needs, plug and play integrations with WMS providers, centralized platform for managing multiple warehouses, or freight cost management to recover invoicing mistakes? I'll give you a few moments to register your vote again. How are we looking, Elena? We forgot to the voting.
Yes, we're almost there. I think we do have a winner. I'll be closing the poll now.
Okay, so again, very close, but we can see that the automatic carrier selection based on shipping needs comes out on top. Now, it's always insightful to see which features feel most valuable across different teams. And I think even just one of those features can unlock real operational improvements if implemented. But before we jump into solutions, it's worth pausing to look at the reality that many businesses are facing today. Because understanding what's operationally holding businesses back in this space is an important step of the process to understand where the value lies. So let's take a look at what day-to-day delivery operations really look like for a lot of businesses right now, and what's getting in the way of speed, scale, and control. Okay, so while the goal across delivery usually focuses, and rightly so, on efficiency, scalability, and customer satisfaction, the day-to-day picture often looks very different. From the conversations we have with retailers, brands, and logistics teams, there's a familiar pattern that emerges, a set of challenges that keep cropping up regardless of company size or of industry. So let's break down some of those pain points and see where things can start to unravel in that delivery journey. So the first area is maintaining existing carrier integrations. Now, these can be a real drain on any business resource. They often have high costs, ongoing updates, and it's not just a set and forget. It takes a dedicated resource to keep the integrations updated. Then, of course, there's the delay in adding new carriers. It's not a quick plug-in, it can take months. And when you're trying to expand into new markets, that lag really does hurt. We've also seen a lot of businesses stuck with multiple fragmented integrations. And that means even a small change like tweaking a label or updating a service, it can turn into a full-on IT project. And while all that's going on, customer expectations keep rising. They want fast, accurate, and increasingly niche delivery options like lockers, evening slots, or green delivery. They're all becoming standard. And if you're not offering them, then you're falling behind. On top of that, manual processes, especially with unintegrated systems, they create risk. Errors start to creep in, shipments get delayed, and ultimately service levels will drop. Now, we also see challenges with lack of visibility and control over transport costs, and without a centralized view, it's hard to optimize or hold carriers accountable. And finally, customs and dangerous goods handling. If that's still manual, you're not just wasting time, you're taking on unnecessary risk in that space. So how do we solve these issues, I guess, is the question. So let's see what a delivery looks like when it's powered by nShift. Okay, so first of all, it starts with a single API integration. One connection gives you access to the world's largest carrier library with over 1,000 carriers and delivery services available right out the box. That means faster onboarding, fewer IT headaches, and instant reach into new markets. With nShift, you don't need to maintain carrier connections yourself. We handle the updates, the compliance, and the constant changes to carrier specifications. So your team can just focus on operations, not the integration. You can also automatically select the right carrier and service based on customers' needs or product requirements. So if you need a two-man delivery for bulky items, no problem, that's all configurable. Now, we can also help manage the customs process by integrating directly with carrier requirements, reducing risk, avoiding delays, and streamlining that cross-border shipping. Then there's cost visibility. With built-in insights into transportation spend, you can identify saving opportunities, you can benchmark carrier performance, and you can stay in control. In short, you gain full control over your shipments from booking to delivery, while we take care of the complexity behind the scenes. Now with nShift, everything you need to manage the delivery is brought together in one place. It starts with the online dashboard, giving you full visibility into all your shipments across carriers, locations, and teams. You also get a powerful self-service capabilities, so you can easily configure account settings, you can add or manage carriers, and you can control user access, all without needing our support. When it comes to shipping based on your contracted rates, you can book and generate shipments with over 1,000 carriers. You can also automate the manifesting process, which is saving time and reducing the chance of human error. Label printing is fully automated, so you can print or receive labels in multiple formats and sizes, and you can even handle return labels within that same flow. Now for setups, there's API integrations, whether through one of our trusted partners or via a self-build approach via your internal development teams. And finally, our shipping rules engine lets you automate carriers and self-service selection based on predefined criteria like delivery speed, cost, or production or product type. So you can optimize every shipment without manual decision making. It's delivery management, centralized, streamlined, and built for scale. Now, I can talk about the product in a lot of detail, but I think looking at a real world example kind of brings it to life. And in this example, we're looking at Yusk. So Yusk operates with over 3,000 stores in more than 50 countries, and they've long had efficient logistics in place for store deliveries. They were moving truckloads from their distribution centres, and it was just business as usual. But things changed for them back in 2010 when they launched the web shop. Suddenly, they weren't just shipping pallets, they were shipping thousands of individual parcels, each with its own label, carrier, and destination, and the old approach just didn't scale. So as Ole, the head of logistics IT, put it, we needed a system that could automate the shipping process, print labels, and connect to multiple carriers all in one place. And that's where nShift came in. We helped Yusk integrate our platform directly into their warehouse, giving them a unified solution to manage carrier selection, automate label printing, and streamline the entire fulfillment process. And the results for them, it was a 40% improvement in warehouse picking efficiency, which is a huge operational gain, especially when you look at the size of their scale. And because our carrier library is ready out of the box, they were able to onboard new markets quickly without the usual delays that are tied to integrating new delivery partners. Now, it's a great example of how a scalable delivery solution isn't just about shipping, it's about enabling growth. Okay, so we've got time now for our third and final poll. So you should again see on your screen the choices, and the options we've got, or the question we've got is, what would you prioritize to improve your delivery process? And the options are expanding carrier connections for better flexibility, implementing shipping rules for greater control, enhancing data security and compliance, or reducing manual processes with automation. This one is a bit more of a, I reckon this could be a bit closer, this poll.
I think with this one, we have a very clear winner already.
The complete opposite of what I said then.
I'm gonna give it a few more seconds.
Okay, wow. So reducing manual process with automation came out the clear winner in this one. And, you know, it's great to see, but while each of these areas plays a different role, the good news is they're not mutually exclusive. With the right platform, you don't need to have, you don't need to choose between flexibility, control, compliance, or automation. You can actually achieve all four, which is, of course, a positive play. Okay, so now let's take a closer look at some of the additional capabilities that take nShift beyond standard delivery management. So we looked at some of the core features earlier, and there's a whole layer of additional capabilities that's designed to make delivery smoother, smarter, and more scalable. So take custom label branding as an example. Now, recently, one of our fashion retail customers started adding their logo and order details directly onto the outbound parcels. Now, it might seem like a small thing, but that uplift in unboxing and brand experience made a measurable difference to their repeat purchases, especially in marketplaces where branding is otherwise lost due to, you know, a lot of different partners involved. But, you know, for those who are focused on cost saving, then freight cost management is a game changer. A homeware business we work with was able to recover thousands a month by automatically steering volume towards the most cost-efficient carriers and then spotting invoice discrepancies early on. So again, it gave them a lot of visibility and a lot of insight in that process. And then for businesses shipping more complex goods, we've partnered with DG Office to manage dangerous goods documentation. That's helped several of our B2B customers stay compliant without needing to train up internal teams or manage multiple tools. And you can also consolidate shipments, and we've seen this used effectively, but again, by B2B wholesalers sending large volumes to repeat customers. It cuts costs and reduces pressure on the warehouse. And if you want a more branded interface for your teams, then you can simply theme the platform to reflect your company's identity. Now, that might just sound cosmetic, but if you've got distributed teams, it really helps with that adoption of a new product. And for peace of mind, parcel insurance is linked and support is always available via phone, email, or our help center. Extended hours and 24/7 hour options are also available if required. Now, all of these features are designed to support growth. It's not just about what works now, it's about being ready for what's next. So with all those capabilities in place, you've got a platform that's not only flexible, but it's truly built for scale. But the real value of nShift goes even further than just features. Because when you bring all this together across checkout, tracking, delivery, and returns, you start to unlock something much bigger. It's a fully connected end-to-end delivery experience that drives continuous value. And that's exactly what the visual on the screen shows now. We see delivery not as a set of disconnected tools, but as a 360 platform with each stage playing a crucial role in performance and customer experience. When those touch points are connected through one system, the benefits don't just add up, they actually multiply. So I just talk you through the graphic online here. So we started checkout. We give customers more delivery choices and clear expectations. We know this results in reduced cart abandonment and an increase in conversion by up to 20%. Moving into tracking, we provide proactive updates, real-time visibility, which leads to happier customers and ultimately a reduction in where is my order calls by up to 60%. Then there's delivery, which we've covered today, where we drive operational control through automation, carrier selection, label printing, warehouse flows, and we know that can result up to a 40% gain in warehouse efficiency. And then finally, returns, an easy branded returns process that actually drives loyalty. 30% of customers either exchange or buy again when it's seamless. And at the center of it all is your brand reputation. Because when every part of the post-purchase journey works consistently and seamlessly, you build trust, retain customers, and turn them into advocates. And this is what we mean by unlocking continuous value. It's not just fixing one part of delivery, but it's about creating an experience that keeps working for your business long after that initial purchase. And so that brings us to the heart of it. When all of these pieces come together, from checkout to tracking, delivery, and returns, you're not just solving logistical challenges, you're creating a competitive advantage. You're turning delivery from a cost center into a growth engine. You're transforming operations, protecting margins, and most importantly, you're shaping the customer experience in a way that keeps people coming back. And that's the real power of nShift. It's not about one feature or one fix. It's about building a connected platform that scales with you, adapts to your needs, and drives value at every step. So with that being said, thank you for sticking with me on this delivery journey. And it's time now to bring Elena back onto the screen and we can review the questions that you guys have sent across.
Thank you so much, Greg. Really insightful. I can already see a few questions have come in through the Q&A function. So I'd say let's just dive into them.
Nothing too hard, please, Elena. For the follow-up.
The first one I see come in is, how does nShift support sustainability goals?
Okay, so you went straight in with the big questions then. So I think sustainability, how we approach that, we can help in a number of ways. So firstly, from an operational perspective, we can optimize delivery routes, we can consolidate shipments, and by doing that, you can reduce unnecessary journeys, which cuts obviously emissions and costs. Then from a customer checkout point of view or perspective, we can also offer greener delivery choices, giving customers the chance to choose more sustainable options in line with their expectations. And I'm sure this will be fully covered in tomorrow's session with when the team do the checkout presentation. Now, on top of that, we can give clear visibility of carrier performance and delivery costs, so that again, smarter, more sustainable decisions can be made at scale. And of course, from a reporting perspective, for anyone with a focus on compliance, we also offer a built-in CO2 reporting suite, which obviously makes it easier to track and report on your environmental impact.
Amazing. Thanks, Greg. The second question that has come in, is there a return on investment for using nShift, or is it just about convenience?
Okay, so I think the simple answer is there's 100%, not 100% return of investment, but there is 100% is a return of investment with our solution. So don't forget what we just talked about in terms of the automating those manual processes. So that all reduces labor costs. We're improving warehouse efficiency, which directly saves time and money. We are also lowering failed deliveries, and WSMO calls are reduced, which obviously reduces the strain on customer service. And again, many customers also see an increased revenue through better delivery experience. So there's fewer abandoned carts, there's higher conversion, and I think that drives more repeat business. So it's definitely not just about convenience, but of course that is also part of it. But mainly it's about better margins and sustainable growth. And again, I mentioned before, we'll cover this in more detail for the next few sessions as we follow up with more of the customer-facing presentations. So I think that's the checkout, tracking, and returns. So I think whoever asked that question, make sure you ask that question for those guys as well, and push them for a percentage figure and put them on the spot.
Amazing. Thanks, Greg. The next one, what makes nShift different from other delivery solutions?
Okay, that's a good question. And to be fair, we hear this question quite a bit when we're speaking with prospects. I think for me, I would always answer this by saying it's our scale and depth. So we offer, of course, the world's largest carrier library, like I talked about. It's 1,000 plus. We've got seamless integrations. We've got advanced features like cost insights, consolidated shipments, automated returns. And I think we're probably the only really true full end-to-end modular solution, which means that if you take one of our products or one of our solutions and then further on down the line you decide to plug in another product, because it's on the same data lake that I talked about in the presentation, you know that it's just going to work. It's going to plug in, the same data is feeding it. So there's no disjointed integrations across the systems or data flow. And I think that's really important when you're bringing in a new solution. I think, obviously also our platform, it's fully maintained, so your teams don't have to worry about updates, formats, or carrier changes.
Mm-hmm. I think we have time for a few more. So let's dive into the next one. Can we customize shipping rules without going through your support team?
Yes. So that's one of the main features of our solution is the self-service functionality. So many rules can be configured directly through the platform. The self-service tools allow you to manage shipping rules based on like location, product type, weight, customer preference. So wherever you kind of need really. And of course, if you need to go deeper or you need support with that, then we do of course have a team on standby who can support.
Mm-hmm. I think let's do the last one now. How does nShift support multi-country or cross-border delivery?
Okay, so I think the main area that we can support that's where the scale of our carrier library really comes into play. So with over 1,000 plus carriers globally, we let you on board new markets very quickly by selecting local carriers, which of course can give you that localized service and cost efficiency. We also support with customs processes, dangerous goods handling through integrations, so that you stay compliant. So I think it's the global reach of our product and our carrier integrations which really help in that regard.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Greg.
Perfect.
Over to you again.
Yeah. Good stuff. So I think if there are any more questions, which I guess from what Lena was saying that there is, we'll come back on them as we release the recording of this session. We will follow up with those questions as well.
Indeed.
Okay, so I think that brings us to the end of the session. Just from me, thanks so much for joining. I hope you picked up a few practical ideas to help take the chaos out of delivery, bring a bit more control and confidence into your operations. Now, don't forget, we've got 3 more live sessions coming up over the next few days, each one diving into a different stage of that delivery experience. So tomorrow we've got Checkout Redefined with Eric and Josh, where they'll be looking at how to streamline the final step of the customer journey and reduce that cart abandonment. Wednesday, it's the power of tracking with Luke and Thomas, who will show how to build trust with customers through better visibility and real-time updates. And Friday, return on your terms with Joe and Eric. So if today was useful, definitely stick with us for the full series. Thanks again for being here, and we'll see you in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.